What's going on, everybody? This is our last NFL game preview of the week here, and we got the Washington Redskins versus the Oakland Raiders on Sunday Night Football. Now, this is a big matchup for the Redskins, and depending on what happens on Sunday in the afternoon games and early morning games, the Raiders could find themselves in a tie for first place, second place, or even back in third place here, in probably the toughest division in football, the AFC West. Now, the Raiders are 2-0 right now. They won last week against the Jets. They won in Week 1 against Tennessee. Washington is 1-1. They lost Week 1 against Philadelphia, and then they beat the Rams last week. So, looking at both of these teams, I would say that Oakland is a more talented team, especially on. I'd say that they're better on the offensive side of the ball, and slightly a little bit better on the defensive side of the ball. Washington's defense isn't bad. It just kind of needs to get a little bit better in the secondary outside of Josh Norman. But here we go. So Kirk Cousins this year is completing the ball at a 61% pass. He only has 419 yards in 2 games, which is interesting. Redskins offense last week was aided by Chris Thompson last week, who had 3 carries for 77 yards and 2 touchdowns. I think he also had a pretty good receiving day, as Rob Kelly went out of the game, I think, late. Washington's offense is not the same as last year's. They lost some weapons in the passing game, but they brought in Terrell Pryor, and him and Kirk Cousins have yet to really click, as Pryor only has 8 catches for 97 yards and no touchdowns here. But looking at on the flip side, for the Raiders, Derek Carr has only thrown 60 pass attempts. He's completed them at 75%. Little under 500 yards, and he's averaging 240 a game compared to Kirk Cousins' 178. It also helps when you have Marshawn Lynch, who is averaging 4 yards a carry. He has a huge advantage in the offensive line, as they're one of the best offensive lines in football in Oakland. And they're getting random touches for Cordero Patterson in the running game, and Jalen Richard here. Michael Crabtree has caught 12 passes this year. He's looking like Carr's favorite weapon. He has 3 touchdowns. He scored all 3 of them last week in the blowout win against the Jets. And this defense of the Raiders really hasn't started clicking yet, especially in the pass rush. They seem very much improved compared to last year, especially in these 2 games here. But let's go ahead and take a look at some the key matchups in this game here. It's going to be that Raiders skill position, so it's running back and receiver, versus the Redskins defensive backfield linebacking corps here. Now, we know that Oakland has a huge advantage, I think, in the run game with their offensive line versus that defensive line, but it's going to come down to the front 7 in general for Washington, trying to contain Marshawn Lynch, which is very hard to do because he can fall forward for 4 yards. And those Raider receivers are going to should have a pretty good day, especially given that the Washington Redskins secondary isn't all that great, except for Josh Norman, I'd say. We'll be able to see these guys probably get some good releases. Michael Crabtree's probably one of the better guys at getting a good release off the line in the press. And it's going to come down to that Redskins secondary, if they can force the broken passive defense, get a couple picks here maybe. Carr's yet to throw a pick, so it's going to come down to those guys and if they can get the job done in this game. Now, for another key matchup here is going to be the Oakland defense versus that Washington offense. Now, Oakland's defense is much improved over last year, but they still have ways to go. It's possible that Kirk Cousins could have a pretty solid day. It's just going to come down to his offensive line, which I think is very good as well. They probably haven't played well this year, but I think it's a very very talented offensive line. If those guys can give Kirk Cousins some time to be able to find his receivers, tight end. If Jordan Reed doesn't play, who right now is a game time decision, it could be an even bigger win for the Raiders, as Jordan Reed is probably one of the better tight ends in the league, especially as a receiver. Now, the third and final key matchup here to watch is going to be Khalil Mack, wherever he lines up, against Trent Williams or the right tackle, I believe, in Washington. I think it's Brandon Scherf. I might be wrong. But wherever Khalil Mack lines up, if he's able to create some type of havoc, create some type of pressure, Trent Williams is one of the better left tackles in the game, probably top 5 in my opinion. But wherever he lines up, you have to know where he is at all times, and they should use him to find the best matchup. Blitzing up the middle, rushing on the outside, dropping into coverage a little bit, maybe even getting a sack. That's just some things that you have to look forward to. Look at. Now, 3 reasons why the Raiders will win and 3 reasons why the Redskins will win. Three reasons why the Raiders will win is that they're able to control the clock, get Marshawn Lynch, who's averaging 4 yards a carry and could keep averaging 4 yards a carry over in this game. That offensive line is able to open up holes. The Raiders have some good speed with Cordarrelle and Jalen Richard, so those guys can get going on some long touchdown runs, maybe even some big gains as Marshawn Lynch bruises them down in the first half and going into the third quarter. And Derek Carr just continually keeps taking steps forward from his injury and keeps completing passes to his receivers and stays efficient. The number 2 reason is that the Raiders will win is because their defense is able to step up, get huge third down stops, get their offense back on the field, create a couple turnovers, obviously. It's just going to be things like that. And the third reason why the Raiders will win is I predict that Khalil Mack will have a big game. It's Sunday night. It's a big game. All of America's watching. All football fans are watching. I believe this game is in Oakland. I'm not 100% sure. If it's in Washington, either way, it doesn't matter. I predict Khalil Mack to have a big game. Probably 2 sacks. Maybe even a strip sack fumble. Things like that. Now, 3 reasons why the Redskins will win is that Kirk Cousins is actually able to go down the field with his passing game. He has not really been able to much this year as he's only averaging 178 yards per game. But if he's able to get that going and stretch the Raider defense out, then they could win this game. The Redskins secondary is able to step up and contain Crabtree, Amari Cooper, Jared Cook, Cordarrelle, Seth Roberts. All those guys are able to control them. Keep Carr under 200 yards, make him struggle a little bit out there. Things like that. And the third reason is that Washington is able to run the ball. If Washington can run the ball, open up some play action for Kirk Cousins, I think Kirk Cousins is one of the better guys off of play action. If they're able to contain get some running game going a little bit, get guys involved, and they have a chance to win this game. Now, my prediction for this game is that the Raiders will win this game. It's a Sunday night game. The Raiders are one of the best teams in the AFC, probably the best, maybe. Them in Kansas City right there. They're playing in a tough division. You have to keep pace with everybody else, as Denver, I believe, plays Buffalo. So that could put Denver to 3-0. I'm not sure who Kansas City plays, but Kansas City could probably be 3-0. So they have to win this game. I think that they'll win this game 35-28, maybe 35-24, somewhere around there. I definitely think the Raiders are going to go over 30 points. And the Raiders defense is able to get a couple more stops, possibly get some turnovers off of Kirk Cousins, who does have the ability to throw crucial interceptions in the red zone. That's going to be my game preview for this game. That's it for the week. So make sure to take a look at the other games from this week. I would really appreciate it. And I'm out. Thanks, guys.